Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I'm Jefferson Knight, and I am an earth keeper, a human rights activist. I'm a development specialist and addiction professional. I work here in Liberia for the United Methodist Church and in the region, the West Africa Central Office. I've been working in the area of human rights advocacy justice for over 10 to 12 years, and I'm happy to be a member of the United Methodist Christian Justice Movement. I was also trained by the General Board of Global Ministries as an earth keeper, and I'm so excited. I also help in the rewriting of the social principles, the 2024 social principles, and I'm just excited to be on this team. Today, I'll be looking at climate justice, which is a very essential when it comes to protecting the earth, the fight against injustices, and all the different things associated with the climate. So, again, thanks to our team and the bishop for this opportunity. First of all, I'd like to start the issue of justice cuts across everything, be it economic, political, social, and all the different things. Today, we're looking at climate. And the voice of the church is very key when it comes to this topic, this particular issue. And that is why I'm so excited that our group has endeavored to put together this meeting for our bishops who have that voice, that represent the bishop, that represent our church. So the UMC has a position, a stance when it comes to climate injustices, climate justice, climate change, environmental protection, and all the difference in the earth as a whole. In the Book of Resolution 1033, it says, our covenant with God calls us to steward, protect, and defend God's creation and to advocate for policies rooted in justice and sustainability. The human abuse. While we keen on climate justice, human greed, over industrialization, and unchecked consumption have desecrated God's gift. Unbridled burning of fossil fuels disrupts the delicate balance of Earth's natural systems. Destruction of ecosystems is a spiritual crisis, a violation of our covenant with the Creator, and a sin against future generations. Look at the picture there. Because of the disruption in the Earth atmosphere today in Liberia and other parts of the world, we do not have good agricultural production. Crops are failing. This is this is a farm in Liberia. Let us look at the moral paradox, the disproportionate burden. 10%, we have heard about this over and over. The 10% burden, the cold climate injustice, developing countries contribute less than 10% to global greenhouse gas emissions, but they face the largest consequences. Look at this village. You don't have electric power, you don't have any industrialization. They depend on the sun and the moon. This is one of our local villages in central Liberia. This is where I grew up. And today, we're feeling it. Thunderstorm and all the different climate disasters continue to affect this village. And all of villages in Liberia and around Africa. There's a need that we act now. The climate justice in the global south. In developing nations like we say, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, climate change is not a future threat. It is a daily catastrophe. Rising sea levels submerge coastal communities while erratic monsoons destroy vital agriculture. This is Clara Town in Monrovia. Erosion. Homes have been filled with water. These kids do not have anywhere to sleep. Government do not have the capacity to even absorb them. And this is not unique to Liberia, it's all over Africa and around the world, especially the developing countries. As leaders of the global connectional church, bishops, our bishop must elevate the voices of frontline Methodists who face displacement, starvation, and environmental racism as well as destruction. The pillars of global climate justice action that we are calling for climate financing in order to address all of these situations that we face with technology transfer, loss and damage support, financing the need for developed that countries that are responsible for about 90% of greenhouse emission, carbon emissions, to begin to finance. That's why the high emitting developed nations must fulfill commitments to international climate funds to support mitigation and adaptation in low income countries. Transfer, technology transfer, equitable sharing of green technology, renewable energy systems, and resilient agricultural tools to accelerate sustainable development globally. Losing damage support, providing direct compensation and humanitarian support to vulnerable communities experiencing irreversible climate loss and forced migration. The global responsibility gap. Let's look at the metrics. The dimension developed nation high emitters and developing nations low emitters.
Yes.
Look at the bridge. This is a bridge in Nigeria. I was in the delta in northern Nigeria in the Jalingo area, Taraba State last year. And we crossed several bridges. You can see water. And this was maybe 20 or 30 years ago. There was a heavy, big river. But today, the river has dried. In fact, some of those areas we got down from the vehicle and crossed over. So, what can we say about this? This is a serious justice issue that must be addressed by our church. Call to action for United Methodist bishops. What are those things we need to do? Pastoral preaching and teaching. Proclaim creation care as an essential element of the Western holy living and disciple making across all annual conferences. Conference infrastructure, appoint caretakers of God's creation coordinators in every Episcopal area and implement local carbon footprint audits. Civic and policy advocacy use Episcopal moral authority to pressure governments for full funding of international climate aid and just energy transition. Solidarity and dives align. We should be able to align conference investment or our church investment with green energy and work in direct partnership with climate impacted sisters and brothers in the global south. This is important. As we end our presentation, I'd like to caution our bishops and our leaders that there's a need for us to intentionally act in order to save the earth. I quote this famous line that says, "We do not need system change. I mean, we do not need climate change, but we need system change." Thank you, and God bless you.